All right, when you think about a snowflake, what comes to mind? Probably a perfect six-sided ice crystal, right? Each one totally unique. And yeah, you'd be right. But what if I told you that inside that delicate little structure, there's a whole hidden, living world?
I know, it sounds a little bit like science fiction, doesn't it? But seriously, this is a real question scientists are asking. So how many living things can actually hitch a ride inside one single snowflake? The answer? Well, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Because to get to that answer, you've got to look beyond just the ice. We're talking about a microscopic ecosystem that's constantly being shuttled across the entire globe. Basically a blizzard of life traveling completely unseen on the winter wind.
You know, one of the sources for this explainer put it in a way I just love, calling them temporary capsules for life. It's the perfect way to think about it. These aren't just bits of frozen water, they're tiny little transport pods for microorganisms.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how in the world does life even get inside a snowflake to begin with? Well, it turns out life is often the very first ingredient. It's there from the moment a snowflake is born. So here's a little science for you. For a snowflake to even exist, water vapor way up in a cloud needs something to grab onto, like a tiny seed to start the whole process. Scientists call this an ice nucleus. And here's the crazy part. The absolute best seeds for making snow often aren't little bits of dust, they're tiny living things.
So picture this. Step 1. A powerful gust of wind scoops up a tiny bacterium from, say, a leaf and just launches it miles up into the atmosphere. Step 2. All that supercooled water vapor up there is desperate to freeze, and bam, it finds our little bacterium and starts crystallizing all around it. And step 3? That's it. That's the birth of a snowflake, with a living thing right at its core.
But hold on, the journey's just getting started. Once that little ice crystal is born, it begins its long fall back to Earth. And on the way down, it becomes this incredibly effective collector, picking up all kinds of microscopic passengers.
You have to remember, the air around us isn't empty. It's like an invisible soup just swirling with microscopic life. So as our snowflake tumbles down, it's bumping into and trapping all sorts of stuff. We're talking bacteria, super tough fungal spores, viruses, little bits of pollen, and even algae.
So the big question is, just how many are we talking about here? A really small, simple snowflake might only have a few dozen. But a big, complex one that's had a long, bumpy ride down through a storm, we're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of individual microbial cells. And that's not even counting the viruses, which are way, way more numerous.
Okay, but wait a minute. How on earth does anything survive that trip? I mean, being frozen solid inside an ice crystal and falling for miles sounds, pretty rough, right? It's an incredibly hostile place to be.
I mean, just think about it. These tiny passengers are dealing with unbelievably cold temperatures, intense dryness, and they're getting blasted by raw UV radiation from the sun. It's a triple whammy that should, by all rights, be a death sentence. And yet, they survive.
So what's their secret? Well, many of them just go dormant. They enter this super tough protected state. But some have this amazing biological toolkit. They're nicknamed cold lovers, and they can actually produce their own antifreeze proteins to stop ice from shredding them from the inside out. They're basically built to survive being frozen solid and then just patch themselves up once they thaw out on the ground.
Okay, so this is all really cool, but so what? Why does any of this matter? Well, here's where it gets really big picture. You have to stop thinking about just one snowflake and start thinking about trillions upon trillions of them. When you do that, what you've really got is a massive global biological delivery system. It's like this. Every snowflake is carrying a biological passport, stamped with the signature of every place it's been. If it formed over the ocean, it's going to be carrying marine bacteria. If it drifted over a forest, boom, it picks up fungal spores. They're like these tiny atmospheric messengers, each one telling the story of its journey.
And the impact of this planet-wide delivery service? It is enormous. We're talking about snow literally moving microbes from one continent to another. It's dropping crucial nutrients into soils that really need them. It's introducing new genetic material to isolated ecosystems. And yeah, on the downside, it can even spread plant diseases that just lie in wait for the spring thaw.
So you see, these little passengers aren't just along for the ride. They are active players, and they have this huge hidden influence on our world. It really drives home the point that a snowflake is so much more than just frozen water.
And what's really wild is that it's all one giant feedback loop. Remember how biological bits help create the snow in the first place? Well, when they land, they can change everything, from the health of the soil to how fast glaciers melt, since dark-colored algae absorb more sunlight. They are this incredible, crucial link that connects our planet's atmosphere, land, and oceans.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Every single snowflake that falls is its own little world. It's a tiny snapshot of the invisible life floating above our heads. And it's a vehicle, connecting ecosystems across the entire planet in ways we're really just starting to wrap our heads around.
And that leaves us with one last kind of awe-inspiring thought. If a single snowflake is a world carrying thousands of living things, then what is an entire blizzard delivering to the landscape? Just think about that. It's not just a blanket of white covering the ground. It's a vast, silent migration, seeding the entire planet from the sky.